Hi, and welcome to episode 6 of Building the Cantrak Return Loop. In episode 5, we did a couple of things, including measuring some track, attaching feeders to it, and getting it ready to install. In this episode, we're going to start with installing that piece of track, and then we're going to continue with more track that we need to install on the layout overall. So, welcome to episode 6, and hope you enjoy this. Thanks. Okay, we're back at the layout. Here's that finished piece. There's the bottom view of it, there's the top and side view. Now, go over here, we stick it through the hole, goes all the way down, stick it through the hole, goes all the way down. Move around a bit so we can get it hooked up. Okay, that's there, that drops down, that goes over to there, that looks good. Any gaps, let's see if they're stuck. We'll remove this. All I do is that, I leave those guys in there, get my glue out. I say I like using this Wooden Ceramics product. Yeah, let me go part ways because I'm going to, normally I would have marked that so it's, the idea is just to spread it out. I got this super glue. And this time we're going to put it on the bottom of here. There we go. Now let's get flipped back. Get through the inside. Yep, feels good. This goes right to where we wanted it to. Tuck that all down. Get my straighty thing. Push that back where I want it. That all looks good. Pick that up. Still holding down the super glue part. There it is down. In this case, we're just going to lay it right along there. I got a second one over here in there as well. There, that's that guy ready to go. Now, if I had been smart, I would have started here because I wanted to do all three. Now I'm stuck with this in the middle of being glued. I'm going to leave that like that for now, and I'm going to progress to over here, which is kind of a mess, but I'll get it straightened out. The other one that I planned to do today was this piece. And you can see it goes from this turnout all the way to the end of the table. I've already glued that on, so all I have to do is cut it to length. Put the joiners in, drop feeds. I got a feed there. I may drop 2 feeds for this one. And no, I'll just drop feeds in the middle. That's more than enough. It'll be less than 3 feet, and I want feeds at least every 3 feet. And that will mean that one's then finished. What a mess. I'll do cleanup later. In any case, I've now got these 3, boink, 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 on this side, done up to there, glue's drying. I've added this piece in along here, glue's drying. And then over here, I've done the rest of this. down to there, and again, glue's drying. So pretty soon that'll all be done. Starting from this end, the update shows that these are now all solidly in place. This one's solidly in place. And we go around like this. And we're solidly in place here and here. I've cut the track for this guy and this guy, but I'm going to do this piece first. So that's what we're working on now. Well, here's the removable piece. There's not much you can see there because I've got it all secured down. Next up will be these two guys here. Hi there. Today I need to drop feeders on this track here, on my removable section here, and on these guys. Normally I like to attach my feeders to the bottom of the track prior to laying the track, but on curved ones I find that a bit of an issue because the feeder wants to hold the track in a position and I want to move it somewhere else. So that means I'm going to have to drop them after I've laid the track. So the track's all laid now, and you may be wondering on your layout, how do I figure out which wire goes where, because you don't want to reverse polarity. And in our case, with this Cantrak standard, the front of the layout over that way is where the red wire is, and then the black wire is behind it. So when I go over to here, this piece of track will be a red wire and this will be a black wire. Now of course, as you go around the corner, the red wire normally stays to the outside all the way around. However, once we get to here, this section is coming back again, and we've reversed it deliberately on this, and I'll show you why in a bit. But on your normal layout, as you go around trying to remember where does red go, where does black go, this is what you use. It's a box car. I have red electrical tape and black electrical tape. So now if you want to paint it, you can take a sacrificial one and paint it. All you do, I'll grab my re-railer here, and I'll do the outside rail first just to show you. Now remember, ours is red towards the front, so this goes on, and you can verify it by just looking at the car at any time, because now it's red here, it's red on the outside all the way around, and for your layout it's going to be red all the way through. Now you can see it's black on this side, but red on this side. So on a normal layout, that's what you do, is just put the little car on, move it all the way around, and that'll tell you. You don't have to question what you're doing. Doesn't matter which section track you're on. So I go back what's going on with our setup, because as I say, it is different. So let's look at, we'll do this is front, and we have our track going along like this, and our second line I'll draw down here. Remember, we said this is black to the back, so this one's black, and in our case this one's black, and this guy's red, and this guy's red. And you may ask, well, why do you guys do that? Well, the reason is when we introduce a crossover, if we decide we want a turnout that goes That track will go to there, and that track will go to there. We want to make sure that the polarity is right going across. So in this case, we're going from black there to black there. So polarity works properly. We're going from red there to red there. So as the train traverses across, I mean, of course, ignoring the frog here, but as the train traverses across, it will be the right polarity here and here. If you don't do that, so if we turn around and we were to change this, just erase that and redraw the track. So if your track was like this, and you did a loop around here, and that became black, and you did a loop around there, and that became red. Now, when I try and go across here on this guy, I'm going to go to here, and I can't do that. I mean, because I'm going to get a dead short from red to black. That means you're going to have to put in an auto-reverser. And auto-reverser circuit. Now the problem with the auto-reverser circuit is if I were to create this whole green thing as auto-reverse, then this would be red, 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 red. As soon as the wheels touch here, it would reverse this whole section to make it black through there. And that would be okay because I would isolate it there and I would isolate it there. So by doing that, as this guy comes along here and traverses over, it as soon as it hits this point, it makes this whole section in here red, and then it gets over to here and it makes the whole section black. And that works fine, except the engine has to fit inside here, because if the wheels of the rear of the engine are out here and the front of the engine are here, then you get a dead short. So the issue becomes your engines, and if you have like 3 or 4 consistent, they all have to fit into this section. And the other issue you have is, remember, we have metal wheel sets on lots of cars. Well, if there's a small enough gap, you know, if you got track like this and there's a tiny isolation gap, but the wheel, the metal wheel, goes like that, it touches there, and that'll form a short. So if you have a great big long train with metal wheels, even though you only have one engine and it clears, whenever a metal wheel hits this section and this section as well, you get a dead short. To make things even worse, if you're using cattle passenger cars, and others may do the same thing, is the rear truck and the front truck on the metal wheels are connected with a copper strip to light up the cattle car. So that whole car conducts electricity from the rear wheel set to the front wheel set, which can bridge this. So what we do in our setup to avoid all of this is, as I say, we go back here, we get rid of this auto reverser, and we have black here and red here. So when we do that crossover, we cross over from red to red. Okay, but you're right, that creates an issue. You can't have it like this anymore. So what we now do is we put an auto, we do a cut here and a cut here. And we make this an AR section in here. So the train comes across here. It will now flip the power as soon as it gets here to be red, black. I go boom, 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 boom. And the whole train has to fit in here. It can't be out here and here at the same time. So it goes around, and when it hits here, it will immediately flip this section to match this, so it will become red and black, which is the opposite of those. And in our case, when you look at this, the way the new one is set up, I'll just cap these guys. The auto reverse section starts right at the table join here. So when you're, it's just on camera. Let me move the camera a little bit more. There. So right here is where the tables join together. So there's a natural separation. This is where the auto reverse starts. And all the way through here, through this piece, and it ends right here. So we have a loop that's that big around to fit a complete train on. And in fact, we, as you can see, have 2 loops on here. Now in our case, this siding is the same polarity throughout. And so what we've done is right here, and way back at the start of it, way back where you can't see, we've isolated electrically this whole thing, and it'll be powered separately from these 2. So all the power all across here is going to be the same, across here is going to be the same. These guys are auto reverse, these guys are auto reverse. When we come out of here, this area will be the same polarity as this area, which means red to the front, back, red, black, red to the front, black to the back. But for the auto reverse loop, this is where we get to use our little boxcar, because the auto reverse loop has to be the same polarity all the way. So it's red on the outside, red on the outside, red on the outside, and it's still red on the outside. But because of what I've said, we're coming out of the auto reverse, bang, right there, that's going to be red and that's going to be black. Whereas here, the inside's red and this, or the outside's red and the inside's black. So hopefully that makes sense and clarifies it. Now what I need to do is pick the spots on here where I'm going to drop my, my feeders and do that. That's up next.